underpinning the physical challenges that we have is always a karma that is fulfilled through the physical challenge. So in that sense, you don't really need to look far. The physical challenges you have in your life, it's very easy to blame yourself. But even the behavior that you have and the thoughts in your head are somewhat driven by the karma of past actions. So the physical challenges that you have are very much a product of this world and the causality of this world emanating from the very beginning of time. And yet the opportunity that you have is a transcendence experience where you know yourself as a soul walking through that. If you want to clear the underlying condition upon which the condition of the body is built, most conditions of the body are built upon an individual identification called I am, like what you think you are, and your body. It's an interesting thing. I've worked with people who have simply shifted how they reference themselves, how they relate to themselves, and everything shifted. A lot of the patterns and behaviors they had just simply between one day and the next went away because they were no longer the one who had those. And worked with people who've been addicted to things like cigarettes. And between one day and the next, they stopped, and everybody goes, "Oh my God, you were cold turkey." It was like, no, I just wasn't a smoker anymore. See, this thing, identity, is extremely powerful. And the identity is comprised of the same material as the physical condition. And that material is called memory. And the basic self is a very efficient way of managing memory and accessing memory. And memory is comprised of the information that you bring in through the conscious experience, the information that's coming from the life plan, from the high self, and the information that's coming from the Akashic records called karma. And then the memory is activated and expressed through the physical condition. So in a sense, the grid upon which that memory expresses itself is a story called Who You Think You Are. And in many ways, the healthiest way to be is in newness, to say that this is the first day of my life, and this is the first time I've ever been. You start to pattern in that newness into the basic self level. And memory just becomes the thing that you are burning through, or the thing that you're processing, the thing that you're loving in this process. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Um, the memory, how is the, can you connect the memory to the physical condition?
Yeah. So basic selves work off of direction, like a computer. So if the memory says there's a balancing action to take place through pain in the joints, say, or another example might be a lethargy or a discomfort, like a nervousness or a sense of. So it could be a combination of things. One is it's a completion of an action for you to have a pain or discomfort. Another might be there are multiple directives coming from different memory or different karma that causes the basic self to have, in a sense, contradictory directions. And the contradictory directions in the body, called like release this hormone, activate this nerve, like all those directions, the confluence of that could be something like could be autoimmunity, could be any number of things, right? Where the confluence of those conditions result in a specific symptom. But it all comes from information that's stored. And people can get very frustrated with their bodies for not behaving the way they want. But the they that wants is just the conscious self. It's just the conscious mind that says that it has an agenda, and that conscious mind is built upon an identity. And that identity is built upon memory, and that memory is stored and managed by the basic self. So it's funny. We may even be programmed to want something that's not compatible with our karma. In fact, many of us suffer from that very same condition. I talk to people all the time whose basic self say, no, the person needs to not make too much money because it'll throw them off karmically, and then they're not going to be able to complete what they said they were going to complete. Then they're not going to be able to go with the traveler this lifetime. You go, okay, well, that's really good that you're not making too much money then. That's why we say for the highest good of all concern. But that doesn't stop them from having a high desire level for money. So there's a karma that causes specific personality traits to come developmentally. There's a karma associated with your parents and how they condition you developmentally. And so you come in and you go, well, this is just not fair. Why would God program me to want something that's not on track for me to have? And I'm sure there's a bunch of people on the call who are like, "Yep, that's about right. Why am I always programmed to want stuff that I don't that I'm not meant to have?" Well, because there's a karma to be completed in your desire level that you don't fulfill. So it's it's a very complex and beautiful symphony of energies and intentions and actions and completions in your consciousness. You're relating to your suffering as a problem that you're trying to solve, and you're saying, oh, well, there's an underlying root cause for my suffering, right? There must be something deeper. Yes, and suffering is not a problem. Suffering is a language. It's a language spoken by a part of you that is attempting to fulfill a purpose. Do you understand what I'm saying? Pain is a communication mechanism. Pain is a part of you saying, this doesn't work for me. Or pain is a part of you saying, this is out of balance. Or pain is a part of you saying, this energy is blocked. Now, if you judge it, you're not going to be able to figure out what it's really talking about. You're not going to be able to get to the bottom of that. If instead you say, this is really efficient way of communicating. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. What would you like with me? What would you like me to do with this pain? And you say that to your basic self, your consciousness. And the answer may be, I just don't know how to manage the negative thoughts that you're holding in your head. See, in your particular case, there's some psychic genetic level proclivity to depression and negative thoughts, sometimes even death wishes or suicidal ideations. And that's going to keep coming up. And your mistake is to identify with it and to think that that's yours versus that's just a psychic genetic level completing itself through my body. If you just observe it and let the energy dissipate, it will dissipate. But it's like a playlist of all that stuff, and it's coming from several very traumatic experiences that happened in your psychic genetic line. And then there were people in your psychic genetic line who thought, oh, well, if I change my name or if I change my country, or if I change my culture, if I start eating, not caring about this or not being religious, then I'm going to free myself from all that negative stuff that's associated with my psychic genetic line. But psychic genetic level is also a form of information and memory that is managed by the basic self. What you can do to work with that is you can start to see the light and see the loving going up through your lineage, and just ask for everybody who's in your genetic line, past, present, and future, to be blessed and loved and held by the Christ. So you start to just put that out, and even that starts to release some of the tension. Then what's challenging is, in the midst of those ideations and negative thoughts that are coming to you more on the genetic level, you were patterned from a young age to, in a sense, gaslight yourself to deal with it rather than addressing it. So if I we're not that type of person. We don't do that. So you were kind of patterned into not fully listening to yourself. And so you've got these conflicting elements. And so essentially, it's as if you're saying negative affirmations all the time about your life and your well being subconsciously. So then your basic self goes, okay, I can do that. I understand. Aye, Captain. And they start creating the conditions of your life and your body. This is not a curse. This is not a problem. This is not a wrong. This is just what's set up. So your opportunity is, can you have a more neutral approach to the thoughts in your head where you go, okay, the thought in my head is just an opportunity for me to heal and bless this. So the thought comes up and you just see it filled with light and you see it blessed. You don't do anything with the thought. You just go, oh, this is another thing that I can heal now. And then you start to pattern in positive affirmations. Like, I don't know if you've done the Insight 2. Yeah.
Yes.
You start to pattern in positive affirmations. Or you, like, if you've read the book, The Power Within You.
No.
Yeah. So that's a book by John Roger. Maybe somebody can post a link. But if you do a good ideal scene or programming, you're working with your basic self to give a different directive. But you have to understand that you came in specifically to transmute and work through the existing memory patterns and directives from past karmas, both from your psychic genetic level, particularly through your father's side, and then through your your own karmas for the decisions that you made a while ago, including ones involving self-harm. So you have the inertia of all of that and you go, why am I such a negative person? Why does all this negative thing happen to me? And why does my body do this? You have to understand that there's an inertia of the past actions you put in place that you now have the opportunity to clear and work through. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You're not doing anything wrong. You just need to understand that there's already a momentum of a certain type of negativity in your consciousness. And you transcend that by identifying more fully as the soul. And I see it almost like inside of me, it's like a prayer wheel, like spinning blessings and prayers of God and the fire of loving, and it's all spinning like so fast that it's like phosphorus, you know? And it's just burning it. It's just burning it. And you chant that tone, you chant that name of God into there. And even for those not on the call who are not initiates, just chant Hugh into that third eye center, right? And just let that prayer, let every breath of your body be a turn of the mala, like, as Kabir would say, let every breath be an affirmation of your own divinity. And you watch it just burn through all the negativity that's coming forward. Most humans feel a victim to the thoughts in their head and the experiences of their life because they misunderstand the purpose of being, the purpose of the conscious self, the purpose of this process of experiencing. My experience is that the purpose of conscious experience is to spiritualize, that through our own beingness, we spiritualize that which we see and we come in contact with. The best way that I found to be is to empty the consciousness and to allow the higher expression of our spiritual nature to express through our eyes, through our words, through our touch. This you that you think you are is the you that is in pain. And as soon as you let go of that you and you just become that divinity that you are in expression through this experience of being human, the more the conditions that come forward in the psychic genetic, in the basic self, even the ambient negativity that you pick up from those around you who have spent a lifetime patterning in negative behavior will not affect you. It's like trying to kick water or something. Like you try to have a fight with water and see what happens, right? There's there's nothing when you make your consciousness like, yeah, or even kicking fire. It's like you make your consciousness like water, like a divine ambrosia that just moves as it's like as quickly as something comes in, it's already in spirit. We spend so much time trying to analyze where the negative thoughts came from, when all we really need to do is watch them with the eyes of loving, listen with the ears of loving. You see what I'm saying? Our job is not to measure and define. Our job is to worship at the altar of that divinity that is God meeting itself in this moment, this doorway of infinity. And that loving that you are, when you get yourself out of the way, will guide the process naturally. There's nothing complicated about what I'm saying. What's complex is the nature of human experience if we try to go piece by piece. But if our very presence is like a fire of loving that burns everything to the ground, it moves quite easily. It's like eternally traveling consciousness. It's like I pick up things or feel off or get hit or all that stuff when I stand still long enough inside of me to do that. It's this contradiction of infinite movement creating a sense of stillness. If I have continuous fluidity of the consciousness, there's nothing for the negativity to hook on. So I think there's an opportunity for you to shift your standard operating procedure, to shift your modus operandi, right? If you could simply relate to the stuff that comes up in that simplistic way that I'm talking about, you will start to shift the patterning that you have going. If you try to analyze your life to look for the source of the negativity, you won't find it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You came in with a lot of that data. You came in with a lot of that memory. It needs to express itself through your life pattern, but that doesn't need to hold you back. Some of the most, well, traditionally, some of the worst astrological charts in Hindu history are those of saints. And I think that that's no accident because somebody who can attain that level of consciousness, not in defiance of, but in transcendence of the karmic condition, that's where you see masters walking on the planet. So your opportunity is, if you can transcend the negative patterning you came in with and simply be the loving, experiencing equally that which you consider negative or positive, you will be a master walking on this planet, and you will be a prayer answered to anyone you come in contact with. It's not an easy path because it's very easy for the ego to identify with the karmas that we experience. Oh, I went through this difficult pattern, therefore I'm this way. Oh, this person talks to me like that, therefore I'm that way. It's very easy to build an identity around the things you happen to experience, but that's not the truth. The truth that you are is transcendent upon the condition that you experience. It's transcendent of the condition that you experience. It doesn't matter what the movie is playing in your life. What matters is who is the one watching it, or who is the one watching the one that's watching it. Do you see? It's been written. The truth has been there the whole time. And so you asked about physical conditions and discomforts. I might have had a lucky guess as to where those discomforts are, or maybe slightly better than a guess. But it is accurate to say that the conditions of your body do not have to be experienced as pain and suffering. Even as the body goes through its karma, you do not have to experience it as pain and suffering. That doesn't mean you're wrong if you do experience it as pain and suffering. That's just saying you have an opportunity to experience greater transcendence. Anything else?
Do you mean like if I'm feeling if I feel pain in a particular area, then
Then you ask, who is the one feeling this pain? Am I that person? Am I that? Am I holding on to one who feels pain? Is the pain a communication between me and a part of myself? And who is that one that I'm communicating with? And what do they have to share with me? Is the energy simply not flowing in that area? And if it's not flowing, what is it that is impeding its flow? And who put that in place? And what was its purpose in being put in place? Because nothing in your consciousness happens arbitrarily. Nothing. We judge things as arbitrary. We, in our righteousness, say we somehow know better. But it's not that. It's not that way. It's not the case. Everything that was placed in your consciousness was placed with loving and for a valid purpose. We just may not understand or agree with that purpose anymore. That doesn't make it wrong. That just means we have the opportunity to shift it for something that works better for us. And you may come to discover that the pain is the most efficient and best way to clear the karma that you have. It's like if you found out that you're going to have this pain in your shoulder or something, instead of having your arm amputated, but you would clear the same karma. And then it completed, then you go, okay, well, I love the pain in my shoulder because the pain in my shoulder is paying the price that would have been paid by an amputated limb. You get what I'm saying? That happens a lot too.
I I would like to be more of the loving expression that you describe.
Yeah, you're going to need to work on it. And you work on it first through observation. And you discipline yourself not to judge yourself or identify or assume that you are the negative thoughts in your head. You've condemned yourself for those thoughts. And that just makes it worse. But please understand, it's just a karma. It's just something fulfilling itself through your mind. You do not have to do anything with it, and it doesn't mean anything about you personally. It just means that's the thought that's coming forward, and you get to love it and heal it through your divine presence. And the tears you feel are the tears of relief because you spent your entire life not only experiencing negative patterning, but deciding that there was something wrong with you because you were experiencing negative thoughts. There's nothing wrong with you. You're a very efficient vehicle for those thoughts to complete themselves. You'd be much further ahead if you just love yourself. It's like if somebody was condemning themselves because negative things are on TV. If we were all bad people because of negative things on TV, I mean, think about that. I would hope that you would be easier on yourself and have greater compassion. It is not easy being human. And everyone is suffering in some capacity. Everyone. And everyone deserves to be honored and loved through their suffering. And the good news is, my experience is that Christ within is walking with us through our suffering, is with us. Every molecule of that experience. I've often quoted Gregory Boyle. I really like several books that he wrote and the work that he's doing in kind of downtown in East LA. And he said something like, I don't believe that God protects me from anything, but he sustains me in everything. It's like God's not going to withhold you from your karma or prevent you from having the experience you need to have. But God is so intimately with you in every breath you take. It's as if God is saying, beloved, you're going to need to walk through this. You're going to need to walk through this karma, this action that you started. Because that's the process that was set up here. We have to complete what we start, possibly through the grace of the traveler, but it must be completed. Although you will walk through that, I will be with you, and I will love you through every step. It isn't easy being human. And everyone is so incredibly worthy of loving and veneration and honor for the steps that they take and the courage that they show in being here right now. And that's why we say, forgive yourself first for judging yourself. We forgive ourselves for judging ourselves because we have no right to condemn this beautiful manifestation of God that we are. And when we judge others, we're judging the same God that is in us, the same God that's in everyone. So we forgive ourselves for judging ourselves. We forgive ourselves for forgetting that we're divine. And in that divinity, we're connected to all divinity everywhere that permeates all existence. And I think that lifted.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeffrey.
My pleasure. All right, done.